everybody, and welcome to GameSpot's live CES 2011 stage show. I'm Sean McInnes. This is our editor-in-chief, Ricardo Torres, and over there is our hardware guru, Sarju Shah. Our friends at CNET have been kind enough to let us borrow their stage for an hour, so for the next 60 minutes, we're going to be talking about all the video game news here at CES 2011. Ricardo, CES is kind of a funny show for us because it's one of the few shows we cover throughout the year where video games aren't the primary focus. So on a year-to-year basis, you never really know what you're going to get, right?
You know, it's pretty hit or miss. We've been coming to the show for a couple of years now because a few years back, Sony used it as basically the launch pad for PSP. And so now publishers always have something here. It's been different though because as we've been here, we've seen the show change. It's still really crowded, but now it's crowded with actual stuff. Whereas in previous years, the center parking lot over there used to have like a ski slope that they put, or a skate ramp or something, and now it really is just a bunch of companies with tech stuff.
A little more buttoned up, a little more business-oriented than
Absolutely.
we've seen?
Yep.
Sarge, how does this compare to previous CESs you've been to?
I'm still pretty happy. I mean, we got Sandy Bridge and we got the Tegra 2, which both are fantastic chipsets. They do tremendous amounts for gaming.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the biggest pieces of news at the show this year is that Microsoft is obviously going to be supporting like ARM processors or ARM processors with the next version of Windows. So that's a big deal. But we're here to talk about video games. So you guys have both had a little bit of time to walk around the show floor. What have you seen so far?
The major publishers like Sony and Microsoft, they have like a little sampling of stuff. Microsoft obviously is pushing big on Kinect, because that's been their big hit since the holiday season, and especially for the crowd here, it's a very accessible piece of hardware. So it really appeals to the mainstream, which is a lot of who's coming to the show.
Yeah, I got a chance to walk by the Microsoft booth earlier. They're showing some Kinect games that have actually been out for a few months already. Still huge lines to see those. So one of the big pieces of news they announced at their press conference last night is that they forecasted sales of 5 million units for the Kinect. They didn't do that. They actually sold 8 million, so a little bit more of a bigger deal than we were anticipating. Sarge, what have you seen on the show floor?
Honestly, the Tegra 2, as I mentioned earlier, actually just went to the NVIDIA booth recently, and they had this amazing setup where they had the same game and all the basic, like you basically had a PlayStation 3, you had a PC, and you had a Tegra 2 tablet, all playing the same game, networked together with all the players in the same instance. That's ridiculous.
Ricardo, anything else grab your eye around the show floor?
I'd probably have to say I've been really interested in what they're doing with the Windows Phone.
Yeah.
The way that it ties into the Xbox Live games and Fable Coin Golf. I mean, for people that have played Fable, you really need a lot of gold in that game, and the fact that you can make a bunch of gold on the go, I'll admit it, I'll probably do it.
Sarge, I know that you were talking about possibly visiting the Vizio booth. I know they've got some interesting things over there, right?
So I actually visited on live, and they're actually going to be integrated inside of Vizio TVs soon. And outside of that, I think you also mentioned that they had basically a dual-player LCD going on, which somehow splits their 3D technology into two separate viewing angles for two players, which is like, whoa.
Yeah, 3D is definitely a huge theme. I mean, all over the show floor this year in terms of general electronics, but also for video games as well. You can walk by the Sony booth over there, and it seems like most of their games are in 3D, right?
That is their that's the big push they're really hoping for. They banked pretty much their whole CES effort around 3D, around hoping that people are going to not only want to watch 3D content, but create it. So tons of 3D cameras, tons of 3D camcorders, and obviously the PlayStation 3 has a 3D picture viewing option now called 3D, I think it's called 3D Memories, that supports 3D pictures on your TV. So as far as Sony's concerned, 2011 and beyond is all about 3D, and they even had some 2012 kind of like pie-in-the-sky type devices, which included wearing a TV on your face, basically as a massive visor thing.
The Geordie LaForge visor.
Yes, the Geordie LaForge visor that lets you see 3D, which is really cool, but I'm still trying to figure out how that would actually work like in your day-to-day life.
Now, a lot of those things that you mentioned just now are items that they revealed at their press conference last night. We actually shot a bit of a wrap-up piece after that went live last night. So let's take a look at our gut reactions piece immediately following last night's Sony press conference.
It was no surprise to anybody that Sony's CES 2011 press conference was all about 3D. Sir Howard Stringer made a grand entrance in the Green Hornet's Black Beauty with the stars of the film, Seth Rogen and Jay Chow, promoting the release of the film on January 14th. He proceeded to talk about the success of the PlayStation Network.
Our first true network service, PlayStation Network, is growing rapidly and now has more than 60 million registered accounts, with online storefronts in 40 countries.
And the ever-expanding 3D world in the future. New 3D products were announced, including the Television Redefined campaign, where they showed off the new Bravias powered by Google.
Sony introduced the world's first internet TV powered by Google TV back in October of last year, along with a Blu-ray player. These groundbreaking models generated a significant buzz and confirmed to us that combining internet functionality and video content together with Sony's legendary picture quality and performance is a sustainable and winning proposition for consumers.
Kasurai hit the stage and talked about the Sony PlayStation 3's campaign into 3D gaming.
Sony is also in a very unique position for our ability to bring native 3D gaming to all of your HD TVs. Content that is purposely created just for 3D. One very relevant example, of course, is Gran Turismo 5, which is arguably one of the biggest franchises for PlayStation. And of course, there's more amazing content on the horizon. Killzone 3 is coming out next month, and we're going to continue to support 3D with our biggest franchises.
They even showed off a new trailer for Uncharted 3: Drake's Deception in 3D.
Uh-huh. Well, that's all real pretty, but what the hell's it mean in English?
It means be careful what you wish for. It might just get you.
After the press conference, GameSpot editors weighed in on their reactions.
Came out of there thinking they want 3D to succeed really bad because they were spraying 3D all over the place.
They have 3D camcorders, 3D cameras, 3D TVs, 3D laptops.
I know they really want this whole 3D everywhere thing to work, and they're definitely giving it a hard push, but like everything, it's going to be content, right? So they have a bunch of products, a ton of different things that do this stuff. And it's good that some of that stuff relies on consumers, right? Because the blog is you make your own content and kind of share it and whatnot. But 3D movies, 3D games, like PS3 stuff specifically, they've really got to push that, and they have to make it not gimmicky, they have to make it really cool.
Games, all we really saw was Uncharted 3, which looked pretty sweet in 3D, no less.
It was kind of like, you know, using the engine so you get a sense, and it showed some gameplay, and it looked phenomenal. So, you know, here's hoping.
So basically on the networking side, they have their PlayStation 3, they have their bloggy, they have their internet-enabled TVs, and they're bringing all these services like Curiosity with like their whole music streaming service.
Curiosity music service for PS3 sounds kind of like a neat additional service. I mean, what we've seen pretty much every CES is Sony layers one more thing on.
And of course all their video content, which of course they've just loaded to the gills with everybody's movies and TV shows.
They're definitely pushing the network services really hard, and I'm hoping that they kind of deliver on it, because that's kind of what they need. They need that connecting thread to let you, you know, have one service that goes to a bunch of different devices.
So obviously a lot of cool stuff unveiled at the Sony press conference last night, but for anybody who's been religiously following the rumor mill, there's probably a little bit of disappointment that Sony didn't unveil the PlayStation phone, which has been sort of making its way onto a lot of news websites lately. Ricardo, any thoughts about that?
Yeah, well, as far as they're concerned, it doesn't exist, right? No comment.
Exactly.
But there have been enough pictures that have leaked that it's kind of the elephant in the room, and it was surprising that they didn't talk about it. But you have to assume, especially Sony being Sony, it's probably going to get a big push, so you'd imagine they're going to have their own event. Because, you know, the big concern about debuting something like that here is it's just kind of white noise at this point.
Exactly. I mean, there's so many phones unveiled at this show that you're just kind of like jumping right into the middle of the fray. You never really know if yours is going to get all that much buzz. Sarge, any thoughts?
I would really love to see the PSP phone, but honestly. Why?
I mean, there is a lot to contend with, unless it's on one of those new higher speed mobile networks, the 4G networks or Verizon's LTE network. It's hard to really get that much buzz because that really seems like you pretty much have to have your phone on one of those new high speed networks if you're going to get a whole lot of noise at the show, right, Ricardo?
Yeah, and I mean, they did tease everybody, right? Because there was that gentleman from Sony Ericsson that said, we want to talk about an exciting new phone, and everybody perked up, and then you actually got to see it, and was it that exciting?
So so that's what's going on with Sony at CES this year. Now let's go see what's happening in the world of Microsoft.
So Microsoft always has kind of like a dazzling press conference at CES. I don't think this year was any different. In fact, I think it was probably one of their better ones. In previous years, they're talking a lot about theory and kind of where they're aiming. This year, while there was some of that, there was a lot of chest thumping and spouting of numbers about how well everything did. Kinect, Windows 7, all the new Windows 7 PCs. I think the Kinect stuff's really interesting because one of the areas where they've struggled with since the original Xbox has been how to get that casual market and how to get like kind of that broader family audience, and they kind of nailed it with Kinect. It sold really well. They have a lot of cool products for it, and you can see they're kind of running with it because you have Avatar Kinect, which is definitely more kind of like for everybody, and they're implementing Kinect stuff in Hulu and Netflix and even ESPN. So they're really kind of leaning into that to make the Xbox as accessible as possible. But Tor, you've been here about as often as I have. What do you think?
I think Microsoft's their conference is really all about numbers. They announced a lot of big figures. There was 8 million Kinects that they sold last year versus just 5 was what they were predicting. So far better than expectations on that. 30 million people are now on Xbox Live, so that's a big number, went way up. And over 50 million Xbox 360s sold worldwide as of the end of the year. The numbers are going way, way up. In terms of the Avatar Kinect coming out, it's kind of something between it's kind of the Me Plaza and PlayStation Home, where you can interact with your friends in like little 15 different little like avatar spaces. That looks pretty interesting, especially because it's going to introduce facial recognition to your avatar. So if your avatar is sad, it'll be sad. If it's happy, it'll be happy. Ballmer even demonstrated that you can raise your eyebrows, and it will actually has that level of detail on the Kinect. That's cool, but also a little spooky.
I thought that the implementation of the Kinect interface on other apps on the Xbox looked pretty cool, like Netflix and Hulu Plus, which is supposed to be coming out in the next few months. Oh yeah, this spring, just like you said. I mean, sometimes you just lose your controller in the couch and you want to just wave through your Netflix instant queue. So that looked pretty cool to me.
You're a proud Kinect owner, right?
I actually do have one. I play Dance Central. I will readily admit that.
Microsoft's Windows 7 push is gigantic. I mean, they have basically a slew of new PCs coming out, basically the new core chips from Intel, Sandy Bridge. And then from that, you also have AMD's Fusion, and now Windows 7's also coming to Silicon on chip, and they showed off basically these Tegra-based processors from NVIDIA running Windows. You had ARM processors running. You had basically anything that could, basically in an electric current, you could actually run Windows on it. And they actually threw it on a printer, which is stunning.
Well, guys, there you have it. Not a whole lot of huge gaming news out of Sony and Microsoft's press conferences this year, but there are definitely some interesting nuggets in there. But the show is not over. We've got a number of days left, so keep your eyes on GameSpot.com for more CES 2011 coverage. Speaking of more CES 2011 coverage, we are back here to talk about what else happened at Microsoft. So, Avatar Kinect, one of the big pieces of real gaming-focused news to come out of that press conference. And so there's some really cool applications for that in terms of video chat, that sort of thing, connecting with friends across the country. Now, Ricardo, what do you think that means for actual video games, that facial sensing technology? We saw it with the slightly creepy Steve Ballmer avatar. What do you think that means for video games?
Probably slightly creepier games, but that's all right. Because Avatar Kinect is basically a chat option, right? It's a really cool way for people to chat together and make it more interactive with your friends, kind of with a new visual interface. Now, if they can actually use that in games, I like to play a lot of role-playing games. So you can imagine for something like a Fable or a Dragon Age or even a Mass Effect, if as part of the conversation system there's some kind of facial thing that gets built into it too, that could be really cool and make it a lot more immersive, because then you really have to pay attention when you play your games, right? Because you can't look all depressed the whole time you're playing your games. You have to smile and engage people, so that could be really neat.
Yeah, Sarge, you spend a lot of time with Kinect. What do you think about that?
Gamers are depressed a lot. It might come across, a bit too much. Yes, we have to smile.
If you're playing a game and you can just constantly see that your guy is frowning and just looking really morose, that's a surefire signal that you need to pep up a little bit. You need to add a little bit more spark, because video games are fun. You don't want to look sad and dejected the whole time you're playing Mass Effect 3, right?
Unless you see your reflections in Dance Central.
Prozac and Connect.
Yeah, Prozac and Kinect. Anything else about the Microsoft press conference that grabbed you, Sarge?
For me, it was really the silicon on chip Windows, and that was just amazing. Basically, what that says to me is that you could feasibly have a cell phone that is your cell phone by day, and then you take it home, and suddenly you plug it into a monitor and a keyboard, and there's your computer. That sounds fantastic to me.
It does, because that means you'll not only are you going to be able to play mobile games on, say, like you said, one side of your phone, but then you can also play traditional PC games on the other side of your phone, as long as, say, they're point and click hack and slash games that don't require a whole lot of input, right?
Indeed.
All right, so when you talk about the Microsoft press conference, are there any other things about that show that really interest you? I mean, the Microsoft Surface has looked like a really cool piece of tech for a couple years now. Do you think there's any really cool gaming applications for that?
I mean, we've seen bits and pieces. The problem is it's not like a mainstream product, unfortunately. So, it's not affordable yet. Like, I don't think people are going to buy that and put it in their house. But what you can imagine is there could be restaurant chains and things that have, it could bring back tabletop gaming, right? Because, I remember the old sit-down Pac-Man arcade machines. So if you want to have a sit-down Halo, whatever, then go for it.
So as we mentioned at the top show, when it comes to video games at CES, you never really know what you're going to get. But one of the publishers who's always here year in and year out is Capcom. We took a look at their suite this morning to see what games they have at the show this year. Why don't we go take a look at that right now? Hey folks, Sean and Ricardo are here in Las Vegas for CES 2011. We are visiting the Capcom suite here at the Aria Hotel, where we have just seen a gaggle of games. Ricardo, let's start with MVC3, obviously probably one of the biggest ones of the bunch. Hagar and Phoenix just revealed, right?
They're not playable here, unfortunately. There's about 30 characters in the version they've got here. That's got She-Hulk. It's who is better than you think. We got a chance to mess around with MODOK. There's movies on the site, but yes, today we announced that Hagar and Phoenix are in it. Very excited. Dark Phoenix makes an appearance. This is very exciting.
Who wins in a fight, Hagar or Zangief? Because that's pretty similar beefy territory, right?
It's kind of like they're cousins. They're distant relatives.
And now you also saw Okamiden as well. What else is going on there?
So Okamiden, they showed an area a little bit later in the game. You got to meet another one of Chibitarasu's buddies. His name's Kuro. He's kind of a surfer dude. And the whole level that you're playing in, there's two on that are playable here. One is a mini game, so you can learn how to use like the wind brush mechanic. So you have to kind of like fly to this one floating area, and when you get there, you have to make your way up a mountain and meet the Thunders, who are this group of people that control electricity, and they're kind of a pack of hippie rock musicians. So that's actually really cool. You learn to get the ability, and you can open new chests and stuff, and then you progress further. And so this part is a little over halfway through the game. And it just keeps looking really good and really fun.
Cool. Now, I also got a chance to see MotoGP 1011. Now, I'm a big racing fan, but I admit I'm not a big motorcycle expert. So one of the big things that drew my attention for MotoGP 1011 is that they're introducing assists for the first time in the series. Now, one of the cool assists in MotoGP 1011 is anti-wheelie. This is something that's specific to motorcycle racing games. It's not really something you have to worry about in a four-wheel car racing game. Something like a stoppie, where you slam on the brakes too hard and your rear tire goes up and you fall off the bike and it's just an ugly, grisly mess. You can actually prevent that now, so somebody who's not a super hardcore motorcycle guy like me can get into the more general racing aspect of it. So that looked pretty cool, but there's also Ghost Trick. We saw that as well, didn't we?
Yeah, Ghost Trick, this is our final look at the game because it's out next week. So anybody that's anxious to solve a murder mystery while being dead should totally check it out. We've got some movies up on the site, and we're going to have a review soon.
And finally, Tyler also got a chance to check out Bionic Commando Rearm 2. He got to do a co-op demo of the game, pretty lengthy look at it, where he was running around using his grappling hook and jumping which is brand new for Bionic Commando Rearm 2. So not only can you jump by yourself, you can also jump with a friend. So big news for BCR too. So that about does it for the Capcom suite here at the Aria Hotel. But as always, we've got more coverage for CES coming your way over the next few days. Okay, so that was your look at what was happening over there at the Capcom suite. And Ricardo, speaking of Capcom, we've actually got a pretty cool event coming up at the end of this month. We're teaming up with them for something really cool, right?
We do. For anybody, well, you don't necessarily have to be in the Bay Area, but even if you aren't, you can still come on down and watch it online because we'll be having that soon. We're having basically a Marvel vs. Capcom 3 showdown at the GameSpot offices in San Francisco, where we're encouraging 64 people to come down and beat each other up virtually in the latest playable version of Marvel vs. Capcom 3. You're going to have 30 characters to choose from, half and half. Half Capcom, half Marvel. It's going to be a lot of fun. For people that can't make it, we're actually going to be running highlights of that in the weeks to follow.
Cool. Sounds like a lot of fun. So you guys have obviously seen a whole lot of me, Ricardo, and Sarge on the stage so far, but we're not the only GameSpot editors here at CES. Tor Thorson caused a little bit of trouble over at the Microsoft booth earlier. Let's have a look at what he got up to.
Hey everybody, Tor Thorson here from GameSpot. We're hanging out with Jose Pinheiro from Microsoft. How's it going?
I'm doing great. We had a great holiday, a great year for Xbox, the biggest year ever, so we're super happy.
Super happy. I guess one of the most intriguing things about last night's presentation was Avatar Connect. So exactly what is Avatar Connect?
So Avatar Kinect is a new offering from Microsoft and from Xbox. It allows you and your avatar to come to life. So you know that Kinect can track your body, can listen to your voice. Now it can also see your facial expressions. So if you're smiling, if your eyebrows go up, so this allows you to bring life to your avatar. And we're allowing you to have that social experience with it. So now you can be in an environment where you can chat with your friends, and instead of looking at you can use your avatar for doing that. You can create all these environments where you can be either on a stage, you can have your own talk show environment, you can just chat with your friends, you can have your own tailgate, and it allows you and 7 of your best friends to come together in a virtual environment and interact. You can do social things, you can talk, you can also record the video, so you can put it on Facebook if you want. So it's a new way for people to socialize, and it takes advantage of the power of Kinect.
How does it allows you to basically put the video straight onto Facebook?
Yeah, when you start the session, you can just hit record, and it records the session, and then it allows you to take the video and put it on Facebook or on other social sites. And this is all free for Xbox Live Gold customers.
So in terms of it tracking your body movements, so within this environment, can you get up, stand up off of your couch and like walk around, or is it just...
Avatar Kinect focuses on your face and your hands. It's not tracking your full body, because we want to focus on the conversation that you're having.
Let's talk about Kinect in general. You guys thought you were going to sell 5 million units of it last year, and you sold 8 million units.
Yeah, we're super excited that consumers are so much in love with Kinect. We thought that the number was going to be around 5, it turned out to be 8 million units sold. That means that consumers are finding out that controller-free games and controller-free entertainment is something really exciting. Not only they can use it for games, they can use it to control movies, music, TV shows, to watch sports. So it's really, really finding how people have fun.
Do you have a projection for the current quarter, how many you're going to sell?
We don't, but we're really excited about the response we have gotten from consumers. So we think that this is going to continue.
Great, well thanks Jose, so much.
Thank you so much.
That's it from the CES show floor. Back to you.
Thanks for that Avatar Connect update, Tor. Now, Ricardo, Sarge, one of the interesting things they showed from that demo is the fact that you can use your avatar and do these full body movement registrations while actually seated on the couch. To my knowledge, I don't think there's any games that are currently out that actually let you do that. Am I right?
You are correct, sir. You can navigate the menus on the couch, but that's about it.
That's about it, yeah.
Most of the games, if you look at the back, they actually have an activity rating, and most of it's active.
Now, I wonder if that'll help, because I know not a whole lot of the hardcore Xbox gamers are super sold on Kinect yet. It's done a great job of luring in a casual audience, but not every one of the hardcore gamers is pulled into it yet. I wonder if being able to just sort of sit there and play Kinect games on the couch is going to help out with that.
Yeah, it might, but there still is an application for it. Honestly, I think that the first time the hardcore are going to take notice is Child of Eden, which is a Ubisoft game that's coming out for it that is pretty much, it's a shooter. It's a shooter that is kind of on rails, so you just, you use your hands to gesture and take out, the objects. So Now there's shooting involved. You're just going to see hardcore gamers show up in droves, I think.
Cool. So we've talked a lot about the first-party stuff, the Sony and Microsoft games. Now let's take a look at some of the third-party games out there, starting with a demo of De Blob 2 out on the show floor. Hey folks, Sean here at the Sci-Fi booth at CES 2011, where I've got Daniel McGuffey from THQ, who's here to show us a little bit about De Blob 2, because really, isn't De Blob 2 the true definition of a sci-fi game?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about, as sci-fi is all about imagination, that's exactly what De Blob 2 is about. It's about creativity and about letting players embrace their inner creativity, taking colors and restoring colors to a decimated landscape, and also, infusing an awesome soundtrack into the world.
Cool. So, De Blob 2, the obvious question with this game is, what's new in the sequel compared to the original game?
Well, everything you loved about the original is back, so the same puzzle platforming that you got to experience in the last one is here, but this time there's a lot of player progression, so you can earn inspiration points that you can spend on making the blob more and more capable. You can make him bigger, capable of storing more paint. You can make him more durable, being able to take more hits. So there's a lot of that. And also, I think the thing that's really cool this time around is we have more than 100 2D sequences where we'd go side-scrolling, kind of like old school homage with De Blob, and we take him into 2D environments.
Now this is actually the first time that De Blob is on the Xbox 360. The original game was just the Wii version, so you get a lot more, detail with the color and vibrancy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It was just on the Wii the first time. It did really well. We're really happy that we can bring it to the 360, the PS3 this time, and yeah, it's a great looking experience. There's hardly anything out there that's quite as vibrant as this.
So we've actually got Homer playing right now, doing fairly well. Let us know what Homer's doing right here.
Well, okay, let's see. Homer he's doing okay. He's on his way. So, as you can see, he's in an area of the town. This is Prisma City, where it's been totally robbed of its color. Those are Inkies, the little guy that he just stomped on. So what he wants to do is he wants to acquire different colors of paint and paint all the city. As you restore color, more and more of the city opens up, and you get more and more objectives that you can do. There's also all kinds of great little cookies and Easter eggs for you to find, tons of collectible things, and just the feeling of, it's a really rewarding experience because you can see what you've done, you can see how you've affected the landscape. You can get up on a high beam and really take a look at a really colorful vista and see that you've really affected the world, and it's a pretty rewarding experience.
And Homer is, in this downtown city environment, but there's sort of other areas in the game like universities and things like that, right?
Yeah, we've really expanded from De Blob 1 as far as the environments go. There are tropical areas, there are frozen areas that really add a real sense of distinction to the world and make you feel like you're in a real place. And they each are, of course, accompanied by their own soundtrack. The more and more that you paint, the more the soundtrack will start pumping. Every color has a different instrument that represents it, so the more color you infuse into the city, the more impactful the soundtrack begins to kick in.
Cool. Well, Daniel, we appreciate your time very much, giving us this little overview of De Blob 2. But before I let you go, when is De Blob 2 going to be out in stores? And remind us again the platforms it's out on.
Yeah, absolutely. Luckily, you don't have to wait long. It's February 22nd, and you can have that on PS3, Xbox 360, and Wii. And on the PS3, it also supports Move.
All right. Thanks a lot, Daniel. There you guys have it. That's De Blob 2. Now on with the rest of CES 2011. All right, so that was your look at De Blob 2. Now, that game was also being shown on the show floor over at the Mitsubishi booth, where it's being shown on a 72-inch 3D television. It's not really the kind of TV that could necessarily fit in my house, but Ricardo, are you planning to get a 3D television anytime soon?
This would not fit in my house either. I'm actually on the fence, to be honest, because I didn't want to be an early adopter because everybody's still trying to figure out formatting and glasses and emitters. And the tricky thing now is we're starting to see like the next wave of that stuff is pushing towards glassless. So now I don't know, I'm kind of in between. I think I want to get one eventually, but I want to figure out one that's not going to leave me completely in the dust.
Cool. So while we're on the subject of new television technology, Sarge stopped by the Vizio booth earlier. Let's see what was happening over there.
We're here with OnLive at CES 2011 and here to check out their new announcements. This here is Joe Bentley, VP of Engineering at OnLive. And Joe, what do you guys have?
Well, right here we've got the new Vizio TV with OnLive running integrated right into it. So why did we do work with Vizio? Primarily, integrating into TVs is going to give users this really low latency experience. We were able to, working with Vizio and their engineers, we're able to remove out, engineer it right onto the TV, removing out a direct feed into the video and the audio to the user, removing out some of the latency right path that you would normally get.
Do you guys know how much latency is removed between like having the box versus just shoving inside of the TV?
Not quite yet. We are working with their engineers still. This is a prototype still, so this will be coming out, shipping later this year. But it varies from vendor to vendor. But what this does is this is a TV that is designed with for the best OnLive experience, and so it's gonna vary based upon which TV you're with.
And you guys also have another announcement surrounding surround sound, right?
Yeah, over here we've got our gamepad right here just disconnected, but we have we've worked with SRS to bring surround sound to OnLive. Yeah, you can do a 5.1 setup. They also have virtual surround experience. Most of their TVs have a lot of TVs have only 2 speakers, and they have a virtual surround experience, do an enhanced experience, so you get that better kind of panning experience. But it works either on stereo mode or on even mono, or it can go to surround mode. I believe SRS is coming out with 7.1 later this year as well, but for now it's on 5.1, and that's an automatic upgrade. There's no changes to the microconsole. It just works with any of your TVs. It's even compatible with other decoders with Dolby and DTS.
We've seen you guys show up OnLive on iPads, and now apparently you guys are on the Android as well.
Yeah, we're on Android. Here's a Samsung Galaxy. A lot of the games weren't originally designed to work with a touch interface. And we're talking about AAA titles that were just weren't designed with touch. They're designed to work with a gamepad or mouse or keyboard. And so this is why we've come out with the OnLive viewer. Over time, currently today, we're talking to the game developers about how we design a game and giving them that touch interface back. But with OnLive, so this is an example of a client that has that you can actually play with here. But what we've done here, this is an example of where OnLive can really go. In addition to games, this is a technology demo where we can even launch into something like an internet browser, and just kind of a simple demo, but you'll notice how fast it loads and so forth. So as you use your imagination here, you can start to see that OnLive's not just about games. We can just do about any sort of app. So we can click on this Hard Rock memorabilia page, and this is a Flash page, and you can see that touch works with Flash and so forth. And what we're really saying about OnLive is that really OnLive is it's the same experience you can get on a TV, on your PC, your Mac, and even on your mobile devices, and any application can be delivered to those devices.
Very interesting. And I think that pretty much wraps up all your guys' announcements. Let's see if anything else to add on.
No. Thanks for stopping by. Lots of news. We've got a big year ahead of us. Lots of new partnerships coming online with Vizio and SRS, and more news to come, and lots of great new features coming out even later this month.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we are back on our GameSpot Live CES 2011 stage show. So that was our look at OnLive and where it's coming to new different platforms than it's been out on in the past. OnLive is a platform that's been out. It basically launched right around E3 2010, so it's been out for about 6 months or so now. Sarge, how do you think it's caught on?
It's moving. I mean, they weren't actually talking about sales numbers, but they kept on saying that they're moving a lot of them ever since they dropped them on sale during the Christmas break, basically. And what's actually stunning is that at E3 they launched on the computer. In December they released the micro console, and now they're saying, well, just get a TV. Now you can play games.
Now, how does that work for games that were never designed for these types of interfaces? He mentioned like the iPad, or what are you going to do when you're trying to play Crysis on your iPad?
Oh, see, they're not really trying to push any kind of gaming solution onto those devices right now. Basically, what you can do is spectate other people playing games, and he also showed off another little portion was the internet browser, which was really nice for the iPad. Basically, you can run IE9 and point it to any flash video site and hit play, which you can't do.
Ricardo, are you 100% sold on the tech yet?
I think the tech is really, really cool, but it's so dependent on your internet speed. Because we've had the beta at work before it launched, and obviously our building's wired and you have really fast internet and it was great. But then I tried it at home, and I have okay internet, but not great. And then as I've tried it, on the road, because you can, have it run on a netbook, it really is very dependent on your internet speed, and that's the only hiccup. Because I think the technology is really cool.
So while we're on the subject of new tech that slightly confuses me a little bit, let's see what's going on over at the Tegra booth here at CES 2011.
We're here with NVIDIA checking out their new Tegra 2 chipset with Matt Wibbling.
Hi.
So what is it?
What is it? So Tegra 2 is the first mobile super chip. And what we're doing and what we talked about yesterday is launching 3 new superphones with Tegra 2.
Superphones.
Superphones, exactly. And what superphones are is phones that have 1080p video playback. They've got dual core, so you can do great multitasking, and then best of all, console quality gaming. And what we can show you today is gaming on your phone that just looks fantastic, like you'd see on a console or a PC.
Let's get to it.
All right, so let me check. What we have here is an LG Optimus 2X. It is an Android phone. The resolution is 800 by 480. And what we're going to show you, the first game we're going to show you is a game called Galaxy on Fire 2. And the cool thing about Galaxy on Fire 2 is that it's a space shooter, but it looks like something that you're going to get on a much higher quality device, something you think about the PC gaming would be able to do. And what you're seeing here, and we've been working with the developer very closely to bring this over to Tegra, it's a Tegra optimized title. What you can see here is just really all the great visuals and graphical effects. So for instance, you can see the light burst, you can see the smoke and effects as you move around the screen.
This looks pretty stunning.
It is awesome. The other benefit that you're going to see with Tegra 2 is being able to do cross-platform multiplayer gaming. And you don't specifically do it in this game, but we'll show you other games that are just being able to enable a whole new type of user experience with your mobile device. So that's Galaxy on Fire 2 running on the LG Optimus 2X. If I have some time, I can show you another game too. This game is called Fruit Ninja, and you guys are aware of Fruit Ninja. I think it's obviously a very popular application on the iOS and Android today. And what we've been doing is working with the developer Halfbrick to actually make it into a much more realistic game. And if you can see side by side, if you bring up your iPhone version for those at home, you can actually see the fruit on the Tegra version, and we're talking about fruit here, but the fruit on the Tegra version looks much more realistic. You're actually, you got shadows, it's just enabling it. And again, this is a casual game, and it really goes to prove that Tegra is not just for high-end, high-performance, first-person shooter games, but it really enables a great experience for casual games as well.
What kind of battery life do you get out of Tegra 2 on these phones?
The battery life is excellent. So obviously being able to play, Tegra is all about performance and efficiency, right? So being able to play all these great games, you still get great battery life, right? It's obviously going to be a little bit less because you're playing a game with it. The phone, you can actually feel the phone too. It's cool. It's not hot. Nothing changes with the phone. The great thing about Tegra 2 is when you're actually not playing a game or when you're actually doing normal, standard, day-to-day things, the battery lasts very long because we're able to shut down different components of the chip. So for instance, you're doing a 1080p playback, we have all the parts of Tegra 2 are completely shut down except for the video decoder. The little video decoder is doing the 1080p playback. So it's a really very power efficient design that enables a lot of new capabilities.
And these are all Android-based phones, so how do you find Tegra-enabled games?
You find them through an application that we developed called Tegra Zone. So what Tegra Zone does is it would be pointless if we developed a bunch of different games, worked with developers for Tegra games, and you couldn't find them. So one of the things that Tegra Zone does is actually has a location that a user with a Tegra phone can actually see in Tegra Zone all the games that are great for their device. And what you can actually see here is really just being able to go through and see all the great games like Asphalt 6, Fruit Ninja, Samurai 2. You're going to be able to see professional reviews, videos. This phone is, we're having network connection, so you don't see the icons, but it's going to be really just a very beautiful app that anybody with a Tegra phone is going to be able to get, and you can automatically see all the great games. And it deep links in the Android market to make the purchase. And there'll be more and more games coming out that will build into Tegra Zone, so you always have an updated sort of portfolio of games that are just great on your Tegra device.
If you were to compare the graphical power of the Tegra 2 to something, what would it be?
Oh, that's a good question. Really the fair thing is that it's better than any other mobile device out there today. It's just a fantastic experience for any other, compared to any other device today. What we talk about for graphics is it's 2 to 3x compared to other devices out there today, other mobile devices. So really just enabling all the great experiences.
Solid.
Yeah.
And what do we have back over here, actually?
So the game that we have back here is called Dungeon Defender. This is one of the textbook examples of a great game for Tegra that runs on multiple different platforms, and it's a multiplayer game. So this example is we're running Dungeon Defender on a PC, a PlayStation 3, and a Tegra-based tablet. And we actually can all see all 4 characters. We have 2 PCs going, all 4 characters on the same screen at the same time, all playing multiplayer. It works over Wi-Fi, it works over 3G, 4G, whatever you want. It's a pretty fantastic experience. The other piece is not just the multiplayer, but the graphics quality, right? It's not a fair gaming if one guy has better graphics and better capabilities than the other. So what Tegra enables is that graphics quality gaming, so you see really the same experience that you get on a tablet that you would have on a console. So why don't we let these guys, hey Jeremy, are you ready to demo this?
Let's walk on over there. Hi Jeremy, and what do you do?
I'm development director at Trendy Entertainment, a game developer.
And they made Dungeon Defender, right?
Dungeon Defenders is our first game. It's coming out on PC, PlayStation 3, PlayStation Network, Xbox Live Arcade, and Tegra 2 powered devices.
And so what do you have going on over here?
Well, so the way Dungeon Defenders works, it's an online RPG. It has some strategy elements too. And what's cool is that all the platforms can play together. That PC can play with the PlayStation 3, and you can play it online also with your mobile devices that are powered by Tegra 2.
How hard is it to port the game to every single one of these machines?
Well, thanks to the Tegra 2's rendering and CPU power, it's actually pretty easy. The Tegra 2 is kind of like a PC in your hand. It's the closest thing that game developers have ever had to date to a personal computer in terms of its graphics and processing capability. Since it's made by NVIDIA, it has a lot of similarities to the GeForce line of video cards that gamers have been buying for years.
That's pretty sweet. Is there really any difference between the Tegra 2 version and like the PC version at all?
No, there isn't, and that's actually what enabled us to have the online cross-platform multiplayer. We didn't have to decrease the complexity of the levels, the number of enemies. Everything was the same. A few graphics tweaks, very minor, and the same game, you get to experience it on your mobile devices. And I think that's what's really interesting about the Tegra 2 is it's actually going to enable game developers to start doing that, to do, straight, direct conversions of their games and not kind of half-assed, spin-off games. And you're going to start seeing the same kind of rich multimedia game quality on your mobile devices like Tegra 2 that you have been enjoying on consoles and PCs for years.
Can't wait to see it. Thank you.
There you guys have it. That's your look at the new Tegra chip. Sarge, this is a piece of technology that we're going to start seeing probably in a lot of Android phones coming up. I know you personally, you're an iPhone owner. Are you worried maybe that the state of iPhone gaming is going to fall behind if they don't catch up to something like this?
I think it probably will. Honestly, I mean, Apple makes great phones right now, but there's only 2 companies on the planet that make good GPUs, and that's AMD and NVIDIA, and only one of them is making the Tegra 2. And that kind of graphical horsepower doesn't really exist anywhere else. And as he said, it's basically 3 times more powerful than anything else out there. And Dungeon Defenders, as you saw, looked fantastic. Great lighting, great shadowing. It's their game to ruin, really. I mean,
So that's your look at the new Tegra chipset. Now we're going to go head back to the Sony area to check out some of the games they have on display on the show floor.
Oh my God,
Hey folks, Homer Ibarra here, back at the Sony booth, CES 2011. I'm with my man, David Bull. How's it going, David?
I'm doing great, doing great.
All right, and so I already forgot your title. Remind people at home what your title is.
I'm a product marketing specialist at Sony.
Product marketing specialist here at Sony, and we're looking at one of the most hotly anticipated games, if not for the PlayStation 3, for all of gaming this year, Killzone 3. Now, as we can see, this gentleman's got the sharpshooter, right?
Right, yeah, he's playing with a PlayStation Move sharpshooter. Now, it's more than just a holder for your PlayStation Move and the nav subcontroller. It's got electronics built into it, so it moves around where the trigger and the move button are, so it's a perfect place for you to fire your weapon, to really put you in that world of Killzone 3 and other first-person shooters.
Cool. So this is obviously built for Killzone 3, but as you said, it's for other soon-to-be-released Sony shooters, yeah?
That's right. It's a first-party peripheral made by Sony, but Guerrilla Games, the developers of Killzone 3, collaborated with Zipper, the developers of SOCOM, to help design the PlayStation Move sharpshooter.
That's really awesome. So if you guys don't remember, late last year we had a now playing with the first half hour of Killzone 3. What are you guys showing off new here at CES?
So this level that we're going to show off, this is the preview code that we have here. It's one of the later levels in the game where you're going to be fighting against the Mauler, which is this epic boss battle that you're going to be going up against. What's great about this area is there's a lot of trenches and there's new different enemy types. We got Hellgas with snipers, got Hellgas with flamethrowers. Everybody's coming at you. They're giving you everything that they have, and you've got to fight your way through.
All right, so obviously 3D, big through line for Sony's press conference last night. You got the Move controller stuff. This thing is pretty much the future.
Oh, yeah.
And you got 3D.
You're inside the game at this point. You know, you're in 3D. You've got the controller in your hand. It really puts you on. I mean, if you can imagine having 7.1 surround sound in your home, you are inside of Killzone 3 at this point. It's really great. It plays perfectly with 3D glasses. It's 3D and 2D. You can choose to play it with a DualShock, with a PlayStation Move, with a sharpshooter. It's up to you how you want to play the game.
Awesome. So now let's talk a little bit more about the game's features. Obviously, we showed off a lot at the Now Playing, but like new melee attacks, new weapons, jetpacks. Run down the list.
Okay, so there's lots of different enemy types that are in this, right? Like you said, the jetpack is one of the new things. There's levels that you can be able to play the jetpack yourself, as well as fight up against enemies that have jetpacks. There's going to be the new Wasp rocket launcher that fires 9 consecutive missiles in what seems to be random formations, and they all land on the enemy at the same time. Has 3D, has 2D, goes with PlayStation Move compatible as well. You're going to have the epic boss battles. You're going to be going on, as you can see here, this is the Mauler. This is one of the big enemies that you're going to be fighting up against. Killzone 3 goes through a variety of different environments. You're going to be fighting in the Arctic snow battles, you're going to be fighting in the trenches, you're going to be fighting in outer space. You go everywhere in Killzone 3 because it's up to you to get off of planet Helgan. Hellgas are after you and the ISA, the few of you that are left, and so you need to survive.
We need to survive, definitely, to maybe see another day in a future title, possibly, or...
Well, to hopefully stop the Hellgas from eradicating your entire race.
That's important, too.
Yes, very important.
All right, so Dave, let's talk about release date. This game's coming out fairly soon, yeah?
Very soon. It's coming out February 22nd, 2011.
February 22nd, 2011, Killzone 3 in 3D, PlayStation Move, sharpshooter. What else could you ask for? Thanks a lot for joining us, David.
Thank you.
All right, more from the CES show floor after this.
Now, all right, thanks for that update again, Homer, on Killzone 3, a big upcoming Sony game that uses the PlayStation Move. Ricardo, that kind of reminds me, the Move was a little bit of a no-show at the press conference last night, wasn't it?
It kind of reminds you that the movie is actually out.
Yeah.
It's in their booth. They've got it at a couple of kiosks and whatnot, but it is very strange because it did almost kind of appear at retail in the fall. I think we all remember that, how it kind of like randomly launched and then it was just there. There's titles for it. It's been selling okay. Obviously, Microsoft has a lot more buzz over Kinect because it is very different. The Move, unfortunately, is very similar to the Wii, at least from a control scheme standpoint, but it does do a lot of stuff that's pretty cool that they didn't really show. Like, I'm also really surprised that they weren't doing any showings of the iPad, because it's kind of an augmented reality game where you have a virtual pet in your living room and you use the Move controller and the camera to interact with it. But yeah, it's really weird because you get the sense that Sony's not pushing it that hard, which is kind of a bad thing, I think, because they kind of want it to sell, I hope.
Yeah, and you can contrast that with the fact that Microsoft has been talking up Kinect endlessly, and it got some pretty prime-time real estate at the press conference of theirs last night. And in fact, we took a look at the PrimeSense booth here at CES 2011. They're one of the companies that pioneered the technology behind the Kinect, so let's see what's going on with them here at CES.
We're here with Adi Berenson with a little company called PrimeSense. You might have not heard of them, but they actually power something called Xbox Kinect. And they've got a few other things up their sleeves right now. Adi?
Yeah, hi. Thanks a lot for the opportunity here. What we are showing here is a basic media center application that we can control naturally. We call PrimeSense, we are saying PrimeSense bringing natural interaction into consumer lifestyle. So I'll show you what natural interaction means. You see the media center application, I'm just going to wave my hand and I'm grabbing control over the system. As you can see, my hand is acting as a pointing device right now. I can just click any category that I want, just very gently click it. I can start filtering my connection, my music collection based on just text input. And now I can just pick a song. I can play it. I can play with the volume. I can sync. And I can just let my arm down and continue to speak like an Israeli with my hands and nothing will happen.
So is this compatible with all TVs? What's the actual product then?
Okay, so what you're seeing down there, if you can take a picture of that, that's the sensing technology. So the sensing technology is a USB device powered by our chipsets. The USB device is actually generating this little picture that you're seeing over there, which is what we call a depth map. It's connected by USB to any device like a PC, set-top box, TV, so any device that has processing capability and a USB interface can be powered by our technology.
Okay, and we've also heard about the Asus, please pronounce that for me again.
Yeah, so Asus is a strategic partner of PrimeSense. They have launched a product called Wavi. Wavi is a PC extender to the living room based on wireless HDMI technology. But with us, we have extended Wavi with a product called Action. Action is a sensor powered by PrimeSense technology that is connected to Wavi, and then you can get access to your PC from the comfort of your couch using gestures and hand points and hand movements exactly like I've showed here. More than that, you can also do games if you are interested to see some games. So, for example, can we do games because I will need a little bit of space? So I'll need a little bit of space. So now I'm going to play with my whole body, which is really the premise of this technology.
Basically Kinect, but with Xbox now.
Yeah, it's not Kinect. I mean, the idea here is that interactive entertainment, not really gaming. Gaming is the game of Xbox. But I look at it not as gaming, I look at it as interactive entertainment. Interactive entertainment will be powered by any device. That's the reality, right? We all know that. But it's going to be in different levels. Xbox is going to be the high end of gaming. It's going to be where you get the ultimate experience. And others will just offer you other business models for consuming, just more casual interactive entertainment. So what I need to do right now is jump. I'm steering with my body. I can accelerate. I can shoot opponents. And I can slow down, and I can go there. And I can, again, shoot. Very simple game, but a lot of fun. If I want to finish the game, I do. And the game will stop. They have this kind of Japanese gesture for stopping the game. And then I can go home. And then I'm back in my media center. So if you think about it from a lifestyle point of view, we are really imagining that someone is sitting, a person is sitting on his couch, he's browsing his video collection, and suddenly the TV tells him, look, you have now watched a video for over an hour. Don't you think it's time to do some exercise? And then you get up on your feet, and there is a virtual trainer that steps in from the TV and walk you through some exercises. If this virtual trainer using the sensing technology feels you're too tired, it tells you, sit down and relax, we will resume the movie for you. So the kind of experience that you have with your TV or with your service provider is fundamentally different than the passive couch potato type of experience we have seen so far. And we are powering all of this.
And you mentioned that PrimeSense might actually be integrated inside of TVs within the coming year.
So we are expecting the first TV integration to appear in the end of 2011. What you will see in Q1, Q2, Q3 of 2011, you're going to see integration into living room PC, media center extender, as we've mentioned, or PC extender. You're going to see us coming with high-end set-top boxes with some leading service providers in Asia and in Europe. And you will see us coming with accessory companies, with major accessory companies. Then the more traditional OEMs like TVs and so on will come.
Do you know what kind of added cost this brings to a TV?
That's a very tricky information that we are not sharing, but I mean, you all know, for example, the retail price of the Kinect. So you can think that this is kind of marking the retail, the kind of benchmark for the retail price of the device itself. Everything will be around it. I mean, you're not going to see $1,000 device, and you're not going to see a $10 device, just to, But beyond that, it's a decision of our customers. So I really cannot comment on that more than that.
Thank you. That's what we have for PrimeSense.
And with that, your look at the PrimeSense booth. We have just about reached the end of our show today. Ricardo, Sarge, thanks a lot for coming on stage and talking about games at CES 2011. And you know what? Fortunately for you guys, this isn't the only live show that we're doing this week. We've got another one coming up tomorrow, same time, 4 p.m. Pacific. We'll be back here to talk about some other games that have been popping up on the show floor this year. But like I said, that's pretty much it. Make sure to check out all the other content we've been putting on the site at ces.gamespot.com. And if you have any questions or anything else you want to take a look at, send us an email at onthespot@gamespot.com, and we'll try to incorporate some of that feedback into tomorrow's show. So, thanks a lot for watching, everybody. I'm Sean, that's Ricardo, that's Sarge. Come back tomorrow, and you have a good one.